We're now joined by Simon Munnery. Simon, how are you going?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you?
Very well.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you.
I noticed you've got 3 cameras and 1 mic.
Yes.
You've gone fully on the visual,
Yeah.
but not so much on the audio.
Yeah, I think this YouTube thing is going to take off. So.
Do you think it is?
Yeah.
For a predominantly audio-based show, we've really focused too much on the visual for this.
Overcompensated,
Yeah.
perhaps a little. Oh well.
And you're a product of the Footlights. Is that correct?
It's not how I think of myself, to be honest. I'm more a product of my parents, who are the main instigators. I wasn't in some sort of Footlights development system with a test tube. Yes. Graham
Yes.
Garden and Tim Brooke Taylor were working away late one night and created me. Yes, I'm a product. No, I was in it.
Yeah.
For a bit.
Did you feel any level of responsibility or a burden to be involved?
My only suggestion when I was on the committee was that they change the name and thereby wipe out 150 years of history. But
It's 150 questions as well that you'd get from budding journalists open with that type of question.
no, I don't think anyone's ever asked me before. But
Oh.
I was yeah. Yeah, they were not open with it anyway. We were in the, I was in the Footlights. When I went to college, I joined every club to meet girls.
Yeah.
And failed in all of them. But the auditioned to be in every play, and I didn't get into anything. The only thing I got into was this thing where you go along and perform something you've written, and if they like it, the next day you do it in front of an audience. And that turned out to be the Footlights. I didn't know what it was. It was called a smoker. It was like so you go and do a little performance in front of 3 people. If they like it, the next day you do it and show it. It went well. And it's a bit like being a gambler. If you're unfortunate enough to walk into a casino and win $100, you'll be back. So 25 years later, yeah, the wind changed, got stuck like it.
In our research, we stumbled across a couple of interesting facts that we don't often find out about. I guess seems to be an obsession with hats.
Yes, I lost my hat this morning. To be honest. I was asking my children. I offered prizes if anyone could find my hat because they take my hat a lot. I do like a hat. Yeah, I haven't got one at the moment. You're right.
There is a place called Melbourne Hatters. It's just on the corner of Swanston and Flinders Street.
I'll be there.
Bit of a Melbourne icon.
Yeah.
What's your style of hat?
I don't mind. I've gone through loads of different types of hats. I used to have joke hats where I'd blow up an inflated balloon within the sort of internal structure of the hat, and it would expand upwards, and this white flash on the front would become an exclamation mark. That's my favourite one. In my show, I have a bubble hat which bubbles come out of the top. A sort of top hat which I made, an in the stream of bubbles. And
Was there a character who wore a bucket on his head?
I have done a one-man play about set in the future where people where a cult of bucket wearing has taken off, and within that I played 3 different characters who wore buckets on their heads.
The hat is a fairly broad term that you're applying. It's just something that you put on your head.
What, a bucket?
Well,
How does it feel? Sorry, did you say?
No, but it's a broad term. To describe a bucket worn on the head as a hat is...
I've never described a bucket worn on the head as a hat. I would say that's very much a bucket. Yeah. A hat is a hat, a bucket is... Well, don't make that mistake. You'll make a terrible mess on the floor when you're trying to clean up. It'll just all leak, the hat will disintegrate. No, don't mistake the hat and the bucket.
alright, I'll take that down, writing that down.
Yeah.
Got it?
Alright.
Good. And you've got 2 shows at the festival this year.
I'm doing 2 shows, yes.
What's the...
At the same time. It's a record.
Why 2?
Because I haven't got 3.
Okay.
No, because I was asked. I did 2 shows in Edinburgh. I think that's what they sort of the officials of the comedy festival chose to take both.
Yeah.
In a way. But one's hats off to 101 Another Materials. My main show is it's a normal show. Well, it's not normal. It's an hour of stuff performed. Whereas La Concepta Restaurant is it's a thing. It's somewhere between theatre, art, comedy, dance. It's a whole new coal scene. I'd like to see a lot of people copying it, or not copying it, but doing something similar. Basically, it's a show for 4 people that is 20 minutes long, and you'd think it wouldn't work, a show for 4 people. But before I did it, I didn't think it would work, but it did, and I was overjoyed because you'd think 4 people, that's not an audience. It breaks down. It's not, it's kind of embarrassing to be in an audience of 4. Let me assure you, it's quite embarrassing to be the performer in front of all. But because this is set in a restaurant format, it sort of works because we're so used to the format, someone taking you in and sitting you down a bit, pretending to be a waiter. Even waiters are pretending to be waiters. They're not born waiters. It's just something you fall into. But anyway, so and it works. So the tagline for it is there's no food. It's a restaurant with no food. It's like taking all that sort of menu culture, because when you read a menu, it's just it's a parody of a restaurant, and yet also is one, but without food. The tagline is all the rigmarole of haute cuisine without the shame of eating. Okay,
Beautiful.
no, easy fun.
That's great.
What I like
That's
about that
really
line
good.
is you didn't realise there was a shame in eating. I just sort of slipped that by you. Is there a shame in eating? Like, there might be something wrong with it. That might not have occurred to you. I just like that as a phrase. All the rigmarole of it. It just rolls
I
on.
will certainly be very ashamed next time I find myself eating something.
Good. No, it's not good. Food's lovely. I just thought it was a straight. Or all the rigmarole, all the shame of haute cuisine without the rigmarole of eating. You can look at it that way as well.
Well, Melbourne takes great pride in our restaurant culture.
I thought it's ideal for Melbourne. Yeah, you've got there's a lot of lovely restaurants. So here's one that takes it to the extreme and it's all the content but without any of the food, any of that food element to slow you down.
And many of the shows I know, with 400 shows in this festival, there's been many shows that only get 4 audience members, but that's all you're aiming for.
Yeah, or maximum. Yeah.
So
although I'm thinking it's an ongoing project, my plan is to expand it to 8 for the summer. Ooh, big bucks. But what I like the idea of it is something one man can carry on his own in a suitcase and set it up. Basically, it's an arch, an entrance in the middle of nowhere, park. In fact, a lovely botanic garden. It's not middle of nowhere. It's not out in the bush. It's out in the lovely botanic gardens opposite the art centre.
Yep.
But we can move it. So that's the thing. You set up an arch. It's an entrance, a grand entrance, a table, 4 chairs, a waiter, a maitre d'. I'm playing them both. I change roles. It's all quite economical, and it all fits into one case. All the dishes, which are boxes of strange. It's a piece of art with a comic edge and a performance. I'm not sure what it is, but I will find out.
But you don't need to know.
No, I think you just come along and it's worked. I was amazed how well it worked in Edinburgh. So fingers crossed it will go right in Melbourne.
And your first show, who are the 101ers?
Well, the one was the R101 airship was an airship launched in 1926 or something, but its final voyage was 1930. It was its test flight from Cardington, just outside Bedford in England, to Karachi. It was aimed for, but it didn't get. It got as far as northern France, where it crashed and there was a terrible accident. But the 101ers was also the band Joe Strummer was in before he was in the Clash.
Okay.
And Joe Strummer called himself Joe Strummer because he couldn't do chords. And I'm with him there. So what I've created is a one-man punk rock musical about the R101 airship. And my plan was that was going to be a whole hour, but for Edinburgh Festival last year. But it's 4 minutes. So that's why it's called Hats Off to the 101ers and Other Material. It's mainly other material with a title track, shall we call it that, which is a one, which I'm quite pleased with. I've worked on it for a long time, and it's a tight 4 minutes. Thank you. Yes, I'm singing the chorus. Hats off to the 101ers, oh they sail the skies above us. Hats off to the 101ers, hats off, hats. Oh yeah, I've lost my hat, of course, but yeah.
I'm sure we can get a bucket or something.
Melbourne Hatters on Swanston.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be looking it up.
I can see you with a bit of a Sherlock. One of those.
Forelock, that is.
A deer stalker.
A Sherlock would be a great sort of hairstyle, wouldn't it? If you could actually recreate a deer stalker in hair. I'll have a Sherlock, please. You should become a barber. Or go to one.
Yeah.
Am I on? No. No. And you never will be again. Oh. It's worse than I thought. Nice chairs.
They are nice chairs.
It's all fake.
After working with the Footlights somewhat, and you've
Against them. They didn't know. I was against them. Like, what? I honestly suggest in the committee, the only suggestion I put forward was that they change the name. Well, no, of course not. We're not going to do that.
you're running a restaurant by yourself, playing both the maitre d' and the waiter.
And the chef and the trainee.
And the chef
4
and the trainee.
roles in the piece.
And you're also a one-man punk band. Any desire to ever work with other people, or are you
Yes,
enough?
if only they had that same desire, I'd be in a group. No, I've worked with other people, how dare you? And I get on with people. I'm allowed in cafes now. But if I'm with someone who knows what they're doing, yes, I've done stuff with other people. We used to be in a double act, and yeah, I have a great desire to work with other people. But I do enjoy working on my own as well. That's one of the, yeah. Not this year. But no, both things. Well, it's a one-man show. Both are one-man shows. Yeah, right. You're right. You're right. I should work with other people. No, I shouldn't. There's no should. But there's no should. But
You make your own rules. No one else can
I'd love
keep
to
up
work
with you.
with someone else. But yeah, I quite like. I'm used to it. I suppose. There's something about the control. But it's great fun to work with other people. I do work with other people. The audience.
Well played. Well played.
Got out of that.
Mr. Simon Munnery, thank you so much for talking to us on In Joke, and
My
we wish you
pleasure.
luck. Wish you luck with the festival.
Thank you. And luck to you with all that you do.
Thank you.